We're
Okay.
open.
I'm just checking. Hold on. Oh, okay. Hold on. You're live now. And come on.
Boy, don't let me get irritated before we go live, because I was in such a great mood this morning. I got my partner back.
Yay! Who actually got winded walking down the hallway. I was like, okay.
I know.
Is that a 64-year-old thing too?
I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully not yet. All right. Is the green room open now?
We are.
All right, we are. Listen, I want to welcome back Ruta to the green room.
What a ride.
It has been, and listen,
ride.
what a unique experience it's been, and I'm going to do the most difficult thing for me to do, which is shut up most of the time and try to lead you into some questions. But you may need to grab your breath a little bit.
I still
know
do.
you're not completely back to normal.
I still.
Let's start from the beginning, Ruta. Tell everybody your story.
So good morning, everybody, and first of all, and I'll thank everyone at the end. But I have so many thank yous, and so to everybody,
like an Oscar speech.
It's gonna be an Oscar speech at the end. Just trust me. And I have Kleenex, so because God knows I'm gonna cry. So, anyways, so what happened was I ended up going out on October 3rd with some friends and went out to Melvin's, had some food, and started having a headache.
Can you trace it back to there necessarily? Because
no,
you would think
because
that you would have been exposed.
I was already
obviously
exposed.
well earlier.
I was already
of course,
earlier,
right.
and it's funny because a lot of people are asking about contact tracing, and it's really impossible because when you think about it, you go to Publix, you go to Home Depot, you come to work, you go out to get something to eat, and it's like in a course of, the doctor said it's anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks. So if you have to track back 2 weeks, good luck. I don't know how that contact tracing would even work. So anyways, on Saturday night, I started having a headache and didn't feel so good at the end of the evening. Sunday, I woke up, my head felt like it was in a vice. Literally, it felt like somebody's squishing my brains out. And by mid-afternoon, I had a fever and a cough. And when the cough happened, it felt like literally, and I'm sure the ones who had COVID can relate, it literally feels like somebody's taking a blowtorch of fire and blowing it into your lungs. Mm-hmm. They're on fire. They're literally, there's no other way to describe it other than when you try to take a breath, your lungs are.
It's got to scare you.
Oh my God!
Scare the heck out of you too.
It scares
knowing
the
everything
shit.
that you know.
Excuse me.
I was going to go there too. I'm so cautious not to.
We get shut down because of me.
Talk about anxiety, but knowing what you know and what we all know about COVID and the effect on the lungs.
On the lungs, and then
I know when you texted me.
I did, and so then I get scared, and so I texted Dr. Barry right away, my trusted companion, and he's like, go get tested. And so I did. He's like, stay home for the next couple of days, and by Sunday night, I knew I already had COVID. The fever started spiking, chills, the body hurt, the cough.
And you had the loss of taste and smell.
I had it on Tuesday.
Not then.
Not then. Sunday, I still had that. And all of a sudden, Tuesday morning, I still had all the same symptoms as of Monday, as of Tuesday. Tuesday, I got confirmed that I did indeed have COVID.
Let's give a shout out to the state for their testing.
The results came back 2 days. I mean, not even, because I went Sunday like at 5 o'clock and
to the Cattleman Road.
On the Cattleman Road, Fruitville.
And
now they said Fruitville is actually giving rapid tests for free. So you get
They're
your results.
not as good though.
They're not. I heard they're not as good. And honestly, I'd rather have the one up the nose that's the long one and you get the accurate results. So then it was odd because I think I texted the office here, and by Wednesday, Thursday, I was feeling decent. And I'm like, okay, I didn't have it severe. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like, it wasn't that bad. And then all of a sudden comes day 8. And day 8, I just felt my body crashing. And it was weird because I texted Donna, who's the office manager here, it's coming. And you could feel, and the only thing I can say is it's coming. And every night from day 8 to day 12, you just get this, at 4 o'clock, you're fine. You have like a low grade fever, like it was like 99. Then all of a sudden, 4 o'clock, the fever's like 99.8. 5 o'clock, the fever's 101. By 7 o'clock, it's 102.
See, adults don't get fever often either. And when you get fever, it's chills and night sweats.
Oh my God, soaking.
Right.
Soaking.
So a fever in an adult is a profound experience.
It's an awful one. And you're right. We don't get them often. And it's not, especially high fevers, you know, where children, they get high fevers, and getting over 102. Your body's aching and your body braces, and that's all I can say is you know it's coming, and you know it like at 4 o'clock you're like, here we go again, and you know the night is going to be horrific because you can't breathe. Your lungs are like
now you had your pulse ox.
I had my pulse ox, and I tell everybody to, if you don't have one, please go buy a thermometer and buy a pulse ox and monitor your pulse ox. My pulse ox normally, even right now, even as I was winded, is normally 98, 99. When I started COVID, it was 96. By day 8, it was 90, 91. So it drops and you just can't breathe, literally.
And that is when you did go.
Okay, and I'll talk about, people are asking about, a lot of people are asking about COVID treatment and medications. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Right.
So anyways, then on, it was day 9, 10, 11, 12, yeah, day 9. I think I reached out to you already because I wasn't feeling so good. Dr. Shanaz, who's my, Ahmed, who's my primary care physician. Oh God, all doctors, all physicians, all nurses. All
we're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that.
That was the low point. Well, that was the low point of the political week when it was accused that doctors were making money off the COVID.
And we'll talk about that because that one's gonna have a lot of expletives next to it. So anyways, I ended up going to the emergency room, and so when I was there, they admitted me. They didn't want to let me go home. So I was upstairs in the COVID unit, the 7th floor, East Tower.
Now the picture of Ruta in the red hat, everybody, okay, literally.
Okay, that's the sign of COVID in the hospital.
Yes.
So if you go to Sarasota Memorial and you see somebody with a red cap, know that they have COVID and that they're either being treated for it or they're being released for it. But it's a sign of COVID. Instead of the scarlet letter, you get the red hat. So I was red hatted and brought up to the tower, the COVID tower. This is already going on, God, like 10 days ago. At that time, the COVID unit was overwhelmed. They had to open a second floor for that many COVID patients.
In Sarasota Memorial.
Sarasota
right.
Memorial.
Here in Sarasota,
County. Yeah. So please be aware the cases are through the roof.
Listen, people know my brother had it as well at the same time, not as stormy, of course, as yourself.
And it's crazy. So people ask it a lot, like, okay, like what were some of the symptoms? So like on Tuesday, I lost all sense of smell and taste. That was on day 3. Day 3 to this day, I still can't smell or taste anything. So I've lost weight. You lose a lot of weight because you just have zero appetite. And then the rest, I think, just starts coming out of you because
we had the intestinal component.
I had the intestinal.
Well.
You get diarrhea. I'm going to just be point blank. You get diarrhea. It's part of COVID.
And the headache was a very profound part of this for you. Oh my God!
And the headaches didn't go away. Imagine having a migraine headache 12 days straight without any relentless.
So when you were in the hospital, Ruta, they talked to you about clinical trials and treatments.
So we'll talk about
sure.
clinical trials and treatments. So when I was there, I had 3 COVID doctors, 3 infectious disease doctors on my case, and they did discuss clinical trials. Each one of them said, though, Ruta, you're one of the lucky ones. And each doctor that came in, they're like, Ruta, you're so lucky.
Did you ever have oxygen?
I never had
nasally,
to.
not nasal oxygen?
Not nasal. I dropped because my level, the lowest it dropped to 90. If I went any below 90, they said, we're going to put oxygen in.
That was their number.
So that was their magic number. So I didn't need, thank God, I didn't need any oxygen. And because of that is, they talked about clinical trials about, the plasma, the remdesivir, the dexamethasone,
the steroids,
the cocktail, as they call it, the antibody cocktail. because I was breathing on my own, they didn't want to give me any clinical trials because they didn't know if it would adversely affect me and if I was going to get worse. Sarasota Memorial, they do have trials running. They're running all the trials that the FDA and CDC have out there. So they are running plasma. They're running remdesivir and the dexamethasone. Subsequently, I got discharged after being in the hospital for 3 days. What they did is they gave me pain meds to try to kill the headache, and they knew it wasn't going to. They said, we know Tylenol isn't cutting it for the headaches from everybody that had it. I said, no, Tylenol did nothing. So they gave me something intravenously constantly, but even that didn't help. The fevers were still there every night.
Do they do like a viral load necessarily, or any of those type of tests?
No,
Ruta,
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't think so. Not on me. I think on my mom, yes. On me, no. So then the only other thing that was very odd is my blood pressure was through the roof. So my blood pressure at one night, they got scared.
It was like Fox TV, like locked on the screens in the hospital, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine?
Oh my
God, I'm in the hospital. In one station.
One station,
Just like,
Fox, no!
hell, I die already.
Shoot me now. Okay, I can't breathe anyways. What's the difference? And I can laugh now. At the time, I could not laugh. It was not laughable. I thank God I can laugh now. And honestly, so the blood pressure, one evening when the fever went up, the headaches increased, and my blood pressure was like 200 over like 106.
Sure, with the headache, they were not pleased.
They were not happy with that. So they immediately went and got me clonidine and also amlodipine. So they loaded me up. You also get, while you're in there, you do get the injection of
Lovenox, sure, because they're worried about blood clotting. That's why this virus is so confounding.
It is.
And listen, I know you had a lot of conversations with those infectious.
Okay, so I want to tell you,
guys.
I want to talk to you, everybody, about the truth. The truth is, the physicians honestly say they have no clue. And I want to be very honest with you about why you should wear masks, wash your hands, and social distance. The honest answer from the infectious COVID doctors are, this thing is morphing constantly. They think they have a track and it shifts.
Even remdesivir by the World Health Organization was not shown to be effective necessarily. Doesn't mean we're not using it.
No, but we are using it. And so I actually got discharged, and then I was recouping at home. I still had COVID, and then my mom got it. And my mom's case, she's 99 years old. Knock on wood.
Listen, I'm not the overly prayerful one, but let's just take a moment and just think about your mom for a moment.
Oh my God, 99 years old, post-stroke, had 2 strokes in her lifetime, is bedbound, went in with double pneumonia, was intubated right away, was in the ICU, and still currently is in the ICU. They started her, she went in on Friday. Thursday, it was funny. She had a low fever. I checked her pulse ox. It was 98. She's on 2 liters of oxygen.
But she's had fever. Listen, we've been doing this for a long time.
My mom, because she has a cough. She has a constant cough.
Right.
She has a fever, so then she had like massive diarrhea. And excuse me for, talking about this, but it's important because people may experience or may have parents who have.
But she was in your home. She couldn't get out of your home.
No, she didn't get out of my home. So it was spread by me. And I think, like, for me, that was the most devastating thing because I was the cause of her COVID. And if there was mortality, it would be my fault. So as children, let me tell you, the guilt trip that goes with that is not fun. So please protect your parents and your grandparents, because to live with the fact that you might give them COVID is something I don't wish upon anybody. It's not a pleasant feeling. So she went in with pneumonia. They put her, they intubated her. I called 911 because with oxygen, on Friday, she was at 99% oxygen saturation.
You've had the pulse ox
for
a long time.
Thank God for that pulse ox. Friday afternoon, her O2 saturation was at 86%. I called, I talked to you, I talked to Shanaz again. Shanaz is like, Ruta, emergency right away. She's like, don't wait, don't wait. So we called the ambulance came, the EMTs walked in the door. I said, I had COVID. I had tested by that time already negative because I had it, a test done on Wednesday. I was negative at that point, but they suited up because my mom obviously had exposure. They suited up, they intubated her in the ambulance in the driveway. So it was
first shout out to our first responders.
Again.
Because at the end, listen to your Oscar speech, we may leave somebody out. So
yeah.
let's not leave those guys out. Listen, they suit up. They're out there every day. And listen, we have first responders in the program. I ask them what's going on the street.
Yeah.
And they tell me what's going on the street.
It's scary what's out on the street.
Thank God for those guys. They got that airway handled early on, so and that's the key.
It is, and they intubated her. They took 20 minutes. They intubated her, like I said, in the driveway. By that time, my husband and I, we had already run to Sarasota Memorial. We were waiting. It took a couple of hours because it was critical. And the doctors came out and really spoke very frankly about the chances of survival when she came in. And the doctor, the emergency room physician, immediately called the ICU doctors down, the lung doctors and everybody. So they came and had a conference with me. And so their call was, we're going to do everything we can, and that's all we can do. So they started her immediately on plasma. One of the ICU docs is like, we're going to start her on plasma ASAP. So they started her on that. Obviously, they did a CT scan of her lungs, is sure full of pneumonia. So she was on it. She was intubated until Monday afternoon, and then they started. Oh, it was interesting because I asked them about the remdesivir and the other clinical trials, and they said when a patient's intubated and with pneumonia, they cannot start that treatment. They said they saw adverse reactions, and they said it is not helpful at that time for those patients. After that, they took her off. She got extubated on Monday. So they started remdesivir and the dexamethasone, which they call, like I said, the antibody cocktail. And her fever already on Sunday had dropped off. The diarrhea had stopped. And they called me Monday. Actually, she came off of, she was extubated Tuesday. Monday, they called me. They said, we're bringing her levels down even on the life support that she was brought down to 40%, which was good. So 60% she was breathing on her own. And then Tuesday, the doctor called me and he said, she's doing okay. And this is the choice now. Do you want to take the tube out? And he said, do you want to take the tube out? But if we do, we don't want to put in, something crashes, we don't want to put the tube back in. She's 99 years old. And then the chances of her surviving that are pretty much non-existent. So knowing my mom, she's very strong. And I said, well, if she's fighting already at, breathing on her own at 60, let's do it. They did. She made it. Thank God. Again, thanks to God. And thank you to the prayers, because the prayer warriors, and I'm going to thank my Oscar speech at the end, but we had hundreds and hundreds of people praying, and between the medicine and that, miracles do happen. To the families, I have to say this. This is so important, because one of the biggest things about COVID, you're frightened personally, and not only frightened, but it's so isolated and isolating. You're isolated in a room by yourself.
Oh, it's been a disaster from the
get. It's horrible. You have no human connection outside of the phone. And usually, even with the phone, there are days where you just can't answer, and you just don't have the energy, and you're scared. And the nighttime, you're extremely scared, because for anybody that's never had an experience where you can't breathe, it's frightening. It's extremely frightening when you take in a breath, and you can't even take in a breath like that at that point. Like this, me now taking this breath is a miracle, because at the time you cannot even do that. By the time you take the first initial, you're already choking. You cannot breathe.
And even on your trip to the grocery store.
Oh my
and
God,
even
so
in here to the
yesterday,
office today.
yesterday I went to Publix for the first time. The walk from Publix to the parking lot, I was winded. When I got home, I had to go lay down for like
So
2 hours.
listen, it's obviously
exhausting.
no joke, but just
It's
to wrap
not
up,
a joke.
so your mom
It's not.
continues to slowly progress.
My
which
mom
is
is
fantastic.
progressing, and they gave her all 3 clinical trials. They did. I have to reach out to this one particular person on Facebook. I don't want to mention her last name, but her first name is Tamara. She was the first person that I know that had gone through COVID and had a loved one still fighting very hard with COVID. And she gave me so much solace because I was so desperate at that time with my mom that she was, in the ICU intubated. And she's like, Ruta, she's going to make it. She's going to make it. And she's like, she will. And I'm like, thank you. And she goes, no, I'm not just saying that. She goes, I went through it. I have a loved one going through it. She goes, she's going to make it. And then she and I started chatting, and I really didn't know her. And she's a lovely woman, and she's still battling. She can't even speak yet, and she's been over it for a while because the oxygen just isn't there. And again, I don't care if you're in good shape, you're healthy, you think you're healthy, you think you're immune. This does not discriminate. It just is like somebody throwing a dart, and if it hits you, it hits you.
Oh, and that's the very unique thing about it. So my brother got it as well. Unbelievable masker. I mean, really as cautious as anybody I know. He got it. His wife, of course, did not. Was tested twice negative. Nordine, of course.
Yeah, my husband
did not.
He was surrounded by it. My mom has
Right.
it. I had it, and it's indiscriminate,
Right.
and it's awful that it does that. And like the thing is, you think you're healthy and you think you're fine, and
It's just you don't know with this, and that's why I like to say it's a
No.
98% proposition. You know.
There's an audio problem. I'm going to disconnect and reconnect.
Okay.
So some people are having that too. So I'm going to disconnect and reconnect, guys.
Give it 1 minute. We have audio.